Hey guys, good morning. Happy Monday. This is Daryl, and it is 6 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. This is a video. As usual, this one just popped onto my radar in the last couple hours. And it's becoming a hot button subject here in Connecticut, but it's of interest, I imagine, to the entire nation and the world. All right, it's got to do with transgender students, specifically athletes, and especially here in Connecticut. All right, Connecticut allows transgender students to participate in interscholastic sporting activities, meaning that if uh, a male to female transgender student who now identifies as a female, that here in Connecticut she's allowed to play interscholastic sports, meaning with other teams across the state. She's allowed to play women's sports or girls' sports with girls that were genetically born female. Back in September, the Trump DeVos administration required Connecticut schools, specific Connecticut school, magnet schools in the cities, Hartford, New Haven, and I'll get more into that in a minute, required these schools to sign a waiver saying that they would not participate if they would not participate in interscholastic sports if they had transgender students, meaning they didn't want transgender students to play with other sporting teams that didn't have transgender students. And they're holding back on $18 million in funding for Connecticut schools. Here's another thing too. A lot of these magnet schools in Hartford and New Haven, two of the biggest cities in Connecticut, have a lot of minority students that are getting a much better education in the magnet schools. So it's a lot of, I don't know if disaffected students would be the right word. A lot of minority students are going there, talented in the arts. I really don't know how to, a lot of students that just don't fit the normal cookie cutter identity of a traditional student, I guess you could say. A lot of people that are artistic like me, minorities, transgender students, a lot of students that probably got picked on for being different are attracted to these magnet schools. And so the Trump administration with Betsy DeVos is threatening to withhold $18 million in funding, which is a lot of money, starting October 1st if they don't sign this waiver. So this comes from a lawsuit from 3 female athletes in Connecticut, girls that sued because they said they would have won track events if it weren't for these transgender students. Now, immediately, being the liberal that I am, I thought this is bull. And it is bull to some extent. But then I really started to, this is one of those times when I have to really put the politics aside and look at the facts, the physical aspect of it. If I were a student, if I had kids and they were participating in sports, I mean, honestly, let's look at these girls' claims, the 3 girls that sued, that they wouldn't have won these. I played track in high school. I did the javelin and shot put, but mostly the javelin. In between sneaking away to partake in other substances, it had already started back in high school, but that's not the point of this. All right, so start thinking about the reality of this, though. And there is a problem here. I guess there really is. Withholding $18 million in funding is not the way to go about it, because it's going to kill the education. It's going to kill these schools. It's going to take education away from minority students. It's going to endanger a better education especially for the students that are on the fringes. I think disaffected would be the right word. And it would affect these kids more. And taking away money isn't the right thing to do. But I had to think about the physical aspect of this. I mean, it's a physical reality, just a fact that men have longer legs. Men who are born men, boys, male, have longer legs, have longer arms, have more muscle. This is the truth. Here's the part that, if I'm going to really look into this, I haven't quite looked into yet. When these kids become transgender, or these people become transgender and start taking hormones, I don't know, does it affect the muscle mass? And even if it does, the length of the arm, the length of the leg is still something that is going to stay the same. That these females, these transgender now females, are going to have an advantage. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, I don't, and the last thing I want to do is discriminate against anybody. But the reality of it is that, I can see their point that these like male to female transgender students, especially playing track, like running, especially like pole vaulting, javelin throwing, where the length of the arm, your length of your leg, or your overall height does play a factor. Hormones won't affect that. They are going to have an advantage. They will. And is that fair to the female athletes? I don't know, because some females, there's plenty of natural born females that are 6'2", or my height. Should they be excluded from sports? I guess you really have to look at this as these transgender students that becoming a female, or being their identity now is a part of who they are, just like their height is a part of who they are. You really have to take the open-minded view of this. So like I said, at first I was like, this is bull. And especially the part about withholding the money. That's crap, because you're punishing, you're messing with kids' education. Kids that have nothing, they don't even play sports. And that's wrong. That's wrong on all levels. And then I kind of switched sides, because I thought, wait a second, these transgender sports, these transgender athletes that are now identifying as female do have somewhat of an advantage. But then I kind of backtracked and went more to the open-minded liberal view that their being transgender is part of who they are as a human being. It's just like their height. Yeah, they have an advantage, but so do taller girls, so do stronger girls, or leaner girls, or more athletically built girls than other girls. I mean, should we narrow it down to just a very narrow weight and height and muscle mass so that it's fair? It's a tough question. It really is. So, but this is a big question here in Connecticut right now. And to be honest, I've already I haven't gone all the way one way or all the way the other. I'm leaning towards that, yes, they should be able to play. Transgender females, girls that now identify that were males and have transgendered and are now females, should be able to play against genetically born females, because their transgender change is part of who they are as a person. Yes, it's an advantage, but it's not an advantage that was taken on specifically to cheat or to have an advantage. It's just part of who they are. So, like I said, I've kind of slid back and forth on this one. Let me know what you guys think. I hope I explained it accurately. And again, this is all going to kind of hit the fan on October 1st, because this is when the funding is going to get yanked from the Trump administration. Is going to pull this $18 million. So it's kind of becoming a hot button topic here in Connecticut. Let me know what you guys think. All right, have a good Monday.